Good morning, divine people. Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. I have only done one other reading like this, but I'm going to do a self-care reading, mainly because I need it and my community needs it, my friends need it, and it's been a while since I've done one of these. So let's drop in. I already got the primary cards out, so let me just feel into this and see what's going on. Okay. All right. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to make a choice, it's understandable. It's understandable if you're taking pause at this fork in the road. There's a lot of reversals regarding fate, a new life, co-creating with spirit, and mending something from the past, something regarding a relationship, either romantic relationship or relationships with old coworkers, a job I'm getting. I'm going straight to the shadow, okay? So what's in the shadow is the to be fair card. It's my justice card. It's my balancing of the scales. So there is something unresolved here, and that when something is unresolved, it's like we are consciously or unconsciously leaking energy towards that thing. And when you're already pretty low on energy, which I think a lot of light workers are right now, I don't know why I'm getting this, but a lot of my consciousness friends are completely shot right now. A lot of us are hitting our threshold. So on top of us doing, maintaining the day-to-day and also doing our inner work and also shifting collective consciousness, carrying all that weight, on top of all of that, we're also leaking energy towards unresolved relationships. Hold on, I'm getting a split message here. Let me finish one thought and then I'll move on to that. Sorry, I'm knocking everything over. So yeah, there's a call to bring justice to I don't know why I'm so adverse to just saying the message. If you listen to my twin flame reading yesterday, I am always very careful in how I choose my words regarding the soulmate cycle. I think there's a lot of people that are very eager to say, oh, your soulmate's coming back in, or oh, they're going to call you, or oh, and I think it's the most unkind thing you can do to someone who's already struggling, because facts are, any one reader reading for a collective, it's very hard to make these blanket statements across the board, right? They're not going to apply to everyone. So that's why I try to cast a very wide net when reading specifically soulmate cycle messages. So if I'm just looking at these three cards here, we have Truth Be Told, and it's an owl with a open heart chakra. There's a cage to this owl's heart, and all of these little mini hearts are flying out of it. Isn't it interesting that we also have the soulmate card? It's two penguins. If you know anything about penguins, they mate for life, right? And there's also these mini hearts here. One penguin, wait, let me move this over. One penguin is holding the key, and this other penguin has a little heart in its chest with a keyhole. So there's something here about honoring that this person, place, or thing that has ignited your soul, maybe it's a soulmate, maybe it's a twin flame, maybe it's a deep soul friendship, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be that person that holds the key to your heart. It could just be that situation. So there's something that you're being called to look back at and to review, to bring justice and balance to. There's a key to this next leg of the journey that's actually going to help you stand in front of this fork in road. Oh my God, my brain's not working. Sorry, it's early. Stand in front of this fork in the road and be able to make an educated, aligned, congruent decision. A decision that you will not regret. A decision that will ignite this new life that will open the door to the co-creating with spirit, that will allow you to step into your destiny, into your soul's deepest calling. Oh, the other message here is that by mending this split in your consciousness, quite literally, you're sewing up the hole so you no longer leak energy to these things. By doing this, you will come back into ground. You will bring justice to your timeline, and you will be able to step into your gifts. I mean, for anyone walking this path of consciousness and here to intentionally shift the paradigm, to be able to step into your gifts is the name of the game, right? That's like the dream, to be able to live life and survive and build a life rooted in sharing your gifts, sharing your soul mission here. Okay, remember, this is a self-care reading, so I'm not going to go too crazy into more narrative. I am going to dive into what can we focus on that would support self-love right now, that would support body care, that would support kindness to our environment around us. We just need it. So let's see where we go. Okay, what does this collective need to know? What would support them? Oh, that's really interesting. Did you see that? I saw a card and I think it was, where the heck, what did it go? I swear I just saw the pamper card. All right, maybe I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I freaking saw this card. All right, I'm going to keep shuffling. What does this collective need to know? Oh, there it is. Knew I wasn't crazy. It says pamper. Self-care is a necessity, not a luxury. I think most of us know that by now. Especially, do you hear how my mouth does weird things and makes up new words? Forgive me. Especially if you are intentionally and consciously living at the edge of self. Listen, when you are living at the edge of self, when you are waking up every day, learning about self, pushing self, understanding why you're uncomfortable, understanding why you have that fear, understanding your blocks to love, when you are constantly living at the edge of self, you are constantly surrendering to the mystery. And while that's a sacred and incredibly beautiful sentiment, it's also terrifying. So we have to really honor the 3D experience. Yes, on a knowledge, wisdom, gnosis level, this is a beautiful soul path. This is a beautiful mission. And, right, not but and. And it's also terrifying. And a lot of times our nervous system is completely jacked up. Right? Most of the times our nervous systems are so dysregulated because we're taking another step forward and it's terrifying. And so I just wanted to name that so we can start really honoring the truth about where we are. It's beautiful that we want to transform and grow. It's incredible that we're meeting the self. We're stretching self by meeting the edge of self, right? All right, let's see what we got. We have truth. Truth is different at different levels of consciousness. Reserve judgment. Okay, this came up yesterday as well. For those of you that are reviewing the past, reserve judgment about how you or another person acted within situations. You were both doing your best at that level of consciousness. And now you probably have expanded exponentially. So you can't compare self now to self then. You can't compare other now to other then. So allow the truth of this to ignite your empathy for self and other. Don't abandon your previous self. Honor, this is your time to step into the role as the divine parent and parent the part of you that didn't know better. Right? If you're a parent and your children are in college, you're not going to now go back and shame them for what they did when they were 5 years old. That's absurd. That's like insane to even think of it. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing we're doing by going back and shaming the parts of self that did not know better, that took that job, that dated that person, that traveled to that country, that made a bad business deal, whatever that thing is for you. And then we have self-worth, elevate. You get what you believe you deserve. It's time to raise your standards. Oh, people. Yeah. It's very easy to accept what we've always accepted, right? It's easy to just stay in the pattern. It's much harder when we're in this process of healing to identify that our normal is no longer serving us, and then to take action, to draw boundaries around that normal. It's time to change the normal, right? And anytime you're leaving convention, it's going to feel scary. It's going to feel wobbly and wonky, and it might be really uncomfortable. But remember that in that discomfort is a new level of self-love, a new version of self, a new level of growth. It's up to you to make that intentional, conscious choice to wield your free will in such a way that honors future love, honors the I didn't say that right. Hold on. Think about who you were 10 years ago. Did you have the level of love you have now for who you were at that time? I'm going to guess probably not. And now you have grown, and yet now you're confronting new obstacles. So it's very difficult to assess our level of self-love and worthiness when we're actively in it, right? So I want you to step into future self. You can go as far into the future as you want. You could go to your eldership. You can go to the 80-year-old version of self who holds so much wisdom, so much perspective, and so much love. I want you to tap into that love and hold on to it in your day-to-day. You could even write your younger self a letter if that feels, if you feel called to do that. We also have energy here. Stop trying to please everyone. Everyone is a whole lot of people. Protect your energy. It's really funny. I actually told my friends that I'm taking a full social media, texting, phone break. I needed a break. And I said, other than my YouTube channel, I'm going to really try to unplug from a lot of social media right now, because I just felt bombarded by a lot of things. And it's not even that I was interacting or trying to please, but just the fact that I was clicking the app or reading something maybe that wasn't in the highest of best good. I got pulled off of my core love frequency, and it was too much. It was too much time not spent in my core frequency. And so sometimes we have to create radical boundaries and rituals to get back there. I'm laughing because I just pulled the ritual card. It says, steady yourself with simple rituals. Do the dishes, fold the laundry, water the plants, make a cup of tea. Let wisdom sneak up on you. This is such an important sentiment for those of us walking, quote unquote, the path, who are on this journey of illumination. It's really important to recognize that there's not one way of doing anything. There's not one way up the mountain to enlightenment, right? There's a million infinite number ways up there. So it's really important to remember that for us to ascend, I don't really love that word, but for us to step into a greater self-awareness or awareness period, it's really important to remember that we don't always have to be in this active, masculine, penetrating role on this path. We don't have to go looking for knowledge and wisdom. We don't have to go thrusting ourselves in the depths of transformation in order to receive the wisdom from that transformation. Be kind to self. What is the next kindest thing you can do for yourself? What is the next kindest thought you can think about yourself? Allow this ease and grace to flow through your life and allow the wisdom to sneak up on you. It doesn't always have to be this, I was about to say money grab for wisdom and knowledge. It's really interesting thing that happens on the path. It's really easy to become so voracious and excited and put all your eggs in this one self-awareness basket and think, oh, the more I learn, the more I push, the more I push and pull and reject and isolate and control, the more wisdom I will get. It's just not true. It's just not true. So allow alternate ways of awakening to show up in your life. Create space for that. The way to do that is to slow way down. What is the fear around slowing down? Do any of you have any fears around giving yourself space and time? I'll give you an example. Sometimes I know that the exact prescription for my ailment in a moment is meditation. And yet my system is so jacked up that if I tried to sit down and meditate, I would feel like it was unkind. It would be so like sharp and acute to my system, who wants to like move the energy and kind of, run around or expel that energy in a more heightened way. It would feel like suffering for me to sit on a meditation cushion and like really drop into that work. And what's hilarious is that's actually probably when I need it the most. So really honor what's true for you, but honor that there isn't one way to do something. And then we have optimism. If you're going to make up stories in your head about people and circumstances, please make them love stories with happy endings. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm feeling this is the core of this message is perception. And it's speaking to the fluidity of perception and how perceptions are really so unreliable and completely malleable to our current state, to our current vibration. So it's saying basically you have a choice of how you want to see people, places, and things, and circumstances, and stories, and relationships, and breakups, and the loss of jobs, the loss of people. It's just really speaking to the permeability of consciousness that we project onto this blank canvas of consciousness what we're perceiving, right? We're completely make up the landscape and project it onto a canvas. We can make up whatever we want. And because of our unconscious stuff, because of our unconscious shadows and the way we were raised, these things tend to be perfect mirrors for what's inside of us, right? We go through a difficult thing and it's really easy to blame that person, place, or thing. It's much harder to take accountability, even if what we're taking accountability for is awful and dark and terrible. It's very hard to stand in that and to honor that, hey, if I'm perceiving a traumatic situation, wait, that's not the right word, because I just want to honor and have empathy for all of the very real 3D physical traumas that exist in the world, physical, emotional, energetic, but at some point we have to draw boundaries around what is the longitude and latitude of our perception? How long are we going to let ourselves perceive this very intense thing? How long are we going to allow ourselves to be affected by that perception? And they're showing me a dial. It almost looks like a dial on a stove, like on an old stove. And you can choose. It's like a dial of like low peaceful intensity to traumatic, insane intensity. And they're showing me that we choose, right? We choose how much to crank it up, how much to really, Sorry, it's moving through my chest and up through my eyeballs. It's a really weird feeling. All right, anything else, Spirit? Let's just move on. Ooh, that was a weird feeling. Anything else about perception? And you have to remember, too, a lot of the stuff that's coming up in this self-care reading is kind of intense. And so remember, self-care doesn't always look like a beautiful bubble bath or getting your nails done or getting a massage. Sometimes self-care is stepping out of victim mode and stepping into radical accountability and ruthless self-love. That to take total ownership of like, yes, maybe I screwed up here. Maybe I acted from a place of limited awareness. It's okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to mess up. Let me just say that. Your actions and choices have no bearing on your self-worth. going to say that again. Your choices and your actions have no bearing on your self-worth. Okay? Yeah, I mean, stepping into self-care by stepping out of a victim mentality is probably the most liberating thing you could do to reclaim that piece of self, to reclaim your own sovereignty. Okay, we have success. Today is a really good day. You're in the flow. Problems are solved quickly and easily. Helpful people show up for you, and unexpected gifts fall into your lap. You know, I think something we forget often is that we can actually set an intention when we wake up in the morning to receive an unexpected gift. I don't know what your morning practices are. I don't know if you have a gratitude practice. That's a good one to have a gratitude practice, but also one of the things that you can do is to call in what you want to experience during the day. It reminds me, I follow this one yoga instructor on YouTube. I think her name is Cassandra, and I just love her. I've been following her for years. And she has this yin practice that's a really slow yoga flow. And she, with every new pose, and yin, so you're holding poses for like 2 to 4 minutes. They're very long, very slow. And with every new pose, she has an affirmation or she asks you to set an intention. And I thought that was so beautiful. It's like you're doing this pose, you're stretching, you're quite literally stretching your body, stretching your muscles, stretching the fascia, which, remember, fascia between the muscles or in the muscles, under the skin, wherever it is, holds all of our emotional stuff. All of our emotional density is stored in the fascia. So I thought it was absolutely brilliant that in this moment where I'm usually not thinking about very much, especially if the pose is hard, I'm usually thinking about breathing and maybe the pain I feel reaching my physical edge, right? I thought it was such a cool thing to inject an affirmation into all of that presence and breath work that you're already doing, right? So I don't know why I'm sharing that. That was for someone to hear, but there's something here about you can take these micro moments, these seemingly in between moments in life, and inject an affirmation or speak love and wealth and riches over your life, whatever that wealth looks like, an abundance of conscious connections, a divine beloved, someone to do this soul work with, whatever your definition of wealth is, you can speak it into existence over these, seemingly nothing moments in your life, when you're walking to the car, when you're at a stoplight, or whatever it is. Okay, what else do we have? We have surrender. Yeah, and it was in reverse. And so some of you might be having a hard time letting go of control. It says, stop trying to control life. It gets in the way of divine intervention. This is reminiscent of, I forgot where I said it, but I did say it about sometimes we have to create space in order to receive the mystery. Wait, was it this one? No. Where the heck was it? Was it this one? Yes. Steady yourself with simple rituals. Do the dishes, fold the laundry, water the plants, make a cup of tea. Let wisdom sneak up on you. This is basically saying, allow yourself to be so present with your chopping wood and carrying water of life, right? With the things that you have to get done. And allow that your presence to be so devoted to that moment that you're not filling your consciousness with a million other things. And in that space, in that void, wisdom will fill it. Consciousness will show up. Divine intervention will show up. It's really beautiful that we just got that on top of that other messages. I really love how these messages start to layer with one another. Oh, and then we have, where is it? We have another key. We have a bunch of owls and a bunch of keys. 1, 2, 3 owls. Any other owls? I don't think so. 3 owls and 4 keys. It says change course. A closed door is an invitation from life to move in an even better direction. It's time to change course. Beautiful invitation. And remember that what I said earlier, that change doesn't always have to be this masculine, penetrating, forceful, action-oriented step. Change could actually be stopping to do something. Change could be letting go of people, places, things, behaviors, actions, circumstances, thoughts. Change could be a more passive, feminine flow, a feminine receptivity. It's like I'm going to lean back into my throne and allow divine intervention to show up at my door, to show up in my castle. I'm very drawn, I don't know if you could see here, but I'm very drawn to these. There are 3 different keys here. And I'm also drawn to these different flowers here. And if you look at each one of them, they all look like they're at a different stage of development, right? This one's still in the bud, this one's still fully bloomed. It's very interesting to me that for me, it's a message of there are many different ways to enter the new doorway, the new portal. There are many different keys for different stages of development, for different stages of consciousness. So what you did 10 years ago might not work for you now. You know, what you did last week or yesterday might not support you now. You could tell me you've meditated for 50 years and all of a sudden it's just not your thing now. Well, maybe you need to go to ecstatic dance. Maybe you need to move the body more. Maybe a walking meditation is now more suited to your current state of consciousness, to your current level of development. No one can tell you what those things are. Only you can discover them for yourself. Okay, let's get some fun. Oh, that's too many. Let me shuffle this way. All right, Spirit. What does the collective need to know about caring for self at this leg of the journey? What would support them in stepping into this new path, into this new life, in co-creating with Spirit? Didn't I just say this? A gratitude list. So write a gratitude list. We have a sweet treat. I don't know if some of you really love baking or cooking and maybe you've gotten away from it. There's a call to maybe get back into that flow. I know a lot of people say they love cooking and baking because of how present they have to be. And so if you look, she's holding this cute tray of muffins or cupcakes. I'm not sure what they are. And her eyes are closed. She's feeling that experience. Maybe she's inhaling the wonderful aroma of her freshly baked yummy things. Okay, if you've been following me for a while, I talk about a dream journal over and over again, and now we have it directly here. I invite you to keep a pad and pencil or pen or whatever by your bed. Do not use your phone. Do not use any sort of electronic device because it'll wake you up too much and it'll pull you out of that in-between space, that liminal space between sleep and awake. And before you open your eyes to go write it down, because there will be a moment when you still have access to both consciousnesses, or that's not the way to say it. There will be a moment where you're standing on the transpersonal bridge between 3D and 5D. In that moment, before you open your eyes, I want you to ask yourself, what was the overall feeling of the dream? Not how you're feeling now that you've woken up. What was the overall feeling in the dream? And then I want you to ask yourself, okay, if I was what would it mean if I was, or how do I ask this? What is it saying about self if I was every character in my dream? You know, if there's like a villain and a hero, or, you know, what part of self is that character for you? And then write it down. Okay, we have connect with your ancestors. We have be still, which is interesting because I talked about meditation a lot, which is funny because I'm not a meditator. I should be, but I struggle with it. And then we have making an altar. Yeah, it's funny because I actually dismantled. This was my altar. I had a whole massive thing set up and I just dismantled my altar. So that might also be for me. But remember that an altar doesn't also have to be a physical space, you could have a living, breathing altar, and maybe that is a place you visit within self. Maybe it's a walk you do on a certain path that you really like, or something like that. But I will say the physical act of making an altar can be really fun. It doesn't have to be fancy, and you don't need to buy anything. So, like, sometimes if I see a really pretty rock I like, I'll put it on my altar. Or in the fall, when I see all of the acorns, I love when they're the baby acorns and they're a whole cluster, and sometimes I take those because I don't see them all the time, and I like them. So your altar could look like anything. Anything else? It's funny because I'm actually losing my breath right now. Give me a second. Yeah, maybe breath work is for some of you. Actually, you know what? Let me move on from this deck. Let's see. Anything else for this collective spirit? I'm feeling a lot of the energy pooling in my third eye and crown, which is leading me to believe that either I am ungrounded or maybe some of you are ungrounded and maybe need to spend some time barefoot on the earth or soaking in Epsom salt. Also, are you all properly hydrated? I guarantee most of us are not. I'm not here to make any medical suggestions, but what's been helping me is the Celtic sea salt. I put a little bit of that under my tongue before I drink. That, again, that's not a medical recommendation. Okay. We have intuition. It says each person's road to the inner Lord is extraordinary and personal. How liberating to listen inside and sense moment to moment what's needed. This is again a confirmation to not be so eager to fill the space. That's something in my coaching trainings that I've done. That was when I first started coaching years ago, that was one of the hardest things I had to do, was to get comfortable in the silence, to allow the client or whoever you're coaching to surrender to accessing their deepest truth in that moment. And when the coach is constantly filling that moment, it doesn't give the space and the respect of what can bubble up from the surface. So allowing yourself to get comfortable. And then we have inner child. Allow me to give compassion and love to that little one. Let me attend to its deepest needs and feelings. Sorry, I'm running out of time. So we have letting go. Everything is indeed out of control, and God will hold it all. I can safely let go. And worth. You have been worthy to belong to love all along without any need to improve. In fact, you are love itself. Thank you for listening. I hope this was supportive. I will see you in the next one.